Hello and welcome to this week's episode of BeBelle podcast. Today I had a first-time podcaster. That hasn't happened in a while. I had the amazing Denise Walsh from CurlyCo. We talked everything business, as always, but mostly behind the scenes, which was super important. All about her husband, which she met at such a tender age, her fabulous family, and what's in store for her in the future. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Welcome to today's episode of BeBelle podcast, and I'm delighted. As I told you already, I have the amazing Denise with me. How are you?
Oh my God, amazing. Wow, thank you.
No,
That's
honestly,
a bit crazy.
I love it. And listen, we have to mention that this is your first, I can't believe it's your first ever podcast.
You have me for your first ever podcast.
Your podcast cherry. Yay! It's amazing. Actually, it's so funny because we were talking about COVID before we came on, and during COVID, I interviewed businesses every day, and I interviewed about 250 or so businesses, and the amount of live cherries I popped.
Right.
We used to make a joke of it. But I haven't done this with somebody that hadn't done a podcast before for ages. Yes. So look, just really enjoy this. BeBelle is just a conversation. It's just a chat between a couple of mates. Okay. You are now my friend, by the way.
Thank you, as you are too.
Official bestie forever now.
Love it.
And so I want to know all about you. So tell me, I know that you live in Kilkenny now, but where did it all start? Did it start there?
Yeah, it started in Kilkenny.
Amazing.
Yeah. I was doing hair in TY transition year when I was in secondary school.
Amazing.
Yep, started.
That's so we're going to go
like
right back.
A long time ago.
Absolutely.
Are we going back that far?
We're going back further.
Are we going back further?
I want to know, where were you born?
Oh, I was born in Kilkenny, Kilkenny,
Perfect.
Born and bred.
And do you have any siblings?
Yes, I'm one of 7, so I have 5 brothers. I know, Irish family.
Okay.
5 brothers and 1 sister.
And where do you lie?
Right in the middle. Mm-hmm.
Do you? Are you middle child or are you just...
I'm the referee.
Okay, so you're the mediator.
Exactly.
Okay,
mediator.
I always find that interesting. So I'm one of 5 girls.
Oh, wow.
So, which was massive actually for a UK family.
Okay.
When I moved to Ireland, I was like, oh, this is home. We should have been Irish.
This is normal.
Absolutely. And I'm second, but I was the middle child for a little while.
Okay.
I hated it.
Okay.
So I like being the second oldest. But I'm still the mediator, actually, quite often.
Okay.
So it's funny how we find our place, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And what were you like as a kid?
Oh, gosh. Now, if they're all listening to this, they're going to give you a completely different story. But I can say, because we're actually living at home at the moment, we've sold a house and we're buying another house. So we get the really lovely pleasure of living back with mum and dad. So moving in with mum and dad and 3 kids and the hubby obviously as well, and 2 dogs.
Oh my God,
they have the patience of sayings. Do you know what? It's actually lovely. It's so nice. It's like a little reconnection that we kind of needed. So my mum only told me last week, so I hope she's telling the truth, but she said that I never gave her any trouble.
Oh my God.
And she said, you done your work, you done your study, and you just got on with it. Now, there was a lot of blackmailing involved.
Okay.
Because I am with my husband 30 years this year. So we started dating when I was 15.
Wow.
So in order for me to get out and see him on a Sunday or a Saturday night, I had to be home and study all day on a Sunday. And it worked because I got really good leaving cert. And I done them proud, I think. I hope I did anyway. Yeah.
But that's a really good thing to instill in our kids. And what do your parents do for a living?
My dad was an auctioneer and an antique dealer for years. And before that, mum and dad had a grocery shop for years and years and years before Dunn Stores arrived. And then they sold up that and daddy kept on his business. Now, he's only retired in the last 6 years. But he was an estate agent, antique dealer.
And so the entrepreneurism was always in the family.
I think like every single one of us are self-employed. There's maybe 1 or 2 that are not, but most of us are self-employed.
I was going to say, my parents work for themselves and I'm actually the only one that ended up working for themselves.
Yeah.
The other 4 were put off by it.
Okay.
So do you find that with your siblings?
I think some of them have dived into it and then went and done their own thing. But like, I'm just trying to think, like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're nearly all self-employed except for 1. The youngest boy is not self-employed, but every single one of the rest of them are.
Yeah, that's mad.
I know.
Because it's not easy.
And all different, like there's trades, we're all different. My sister's a florist, so we're all very different, but creative at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to say creative. Yeah. That's mad. And did you find school, because we were talking earlier, I was chatting to somebody else and we were talking about, I wasn't an academic kid, but I loved school because it was so social and I just loved people. Yeah. Like, how did you
I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. And I done my study and I got really good points and I was happy, but I never needed it. I never used it. But it was just, do you know what? I'm funny. I think it was to prove that I could get the results, but I knew I wasn't going to need them because I wanted to be a hairdresser. Like ever since I was young.
You knew?
I wanted to be a hairdresser. Like I remember the art teacher was, really pushing with my parents for, she needs to go to art college. She needs to go to art college. This is going to be wasted. And it took a friend of mine, her dad, who was a school inspector at the time, speaking to my mum and dad and saying, no, let her do what she wants to do. She wants to be a hairdresser. So I think, we've achieved a lot as a hair salon owner. We've won so many accolades, but my job really now is mentoring and getting my team where they want to be, and they'd have individual
And as
goals.
a mentor, like, can you look back now and go, at what age did you go, that's what I want to do? Like, how did that happen?
So
because,
young.
Yeah, because they say, if you can see it, you can be it.
Yep.
So was it being in a hairdresser's one day and you thought, I'd like to do this? Or was it watching somebody on TV? Like, how did it happen?
I think there's two sides to me. I love business. So I absolutely adore to see a business doing well.
But at 12...
I think I was looking at my dad and the work that he done and being self-employed and being the boss and being in charge. And I think me, myself, as my own personality, was making sure everything was in particular order and having everything laid out.
So did you do some work for him?
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah.
Our weekends were gone. Yeah. Well, we all had different jobs. And I actually think I got a lot of my customer service skills from my very first job was with Daddy working at the desk. So he used to have these big furniture sales once a month, and people would travel from all over the world to come to, it was Dennis O'Neill Auctioneer and furniture sales. And so like the whole week before that would be on, all the kids were involved. We were cleaning the furniture, like it was a big warehouse. And obviously he had workers as well, but all the kids with different jobs, whether it was getting the furniture ready, cleaning the furniture, labelling it, getting the lot numbers on it, putting the catalogues together, and then viewing would be Saturday, Sunday and Monday. And on viewing days then me and my sister would be working in the office and selling the catalogues to people. And and then on the Monday night, the night of the auction, my job was at the desk in the office taking the money. So Dad was up doing his auctioneering thing with someone, and then, like, it was really old fashioned. It wasn't computer to computer. It was like someone else then would have the job of coming down, bringing down the piece of paper to me with all the details on it and who bought what, and I'd have to put it up into the computer and get the accounts ready and get the invoices ready. And yes, that was my job.
The computer with the big buttons, no doubt.
Completely. Yeah, completely. But yeah,
across the screen.
I think I always had that was there at the side of my head.
So that was the business side. That gave you like a bit of graph for business. But and who was the person that made you think that's the kind of business I'd like to do?
Gosh, I lived in Australia for a long time. So there's like a big gap. So went to school, got a great leaving cert, but I was already working in the salon that I went on to do an apprenticeship in. And they were fantastic. And then we skipped off to Australia for 12 months, didn't come back for 5 years type of thing. Yeah. Had a great time. But it was out there where I really thought, oh my God, I absolutely adore this industry. I started working for a lady part-time. Well, actually, truth be told, I was not working. We were messing around, doing loads of partying. And my brother, who's also extremely business like-minded, and we got on really well today. And he had come over to me and said, you need to get a job. Okay. This is ridiculous. Pulled out the phone book and made me sit down and go through all the salons that I thought I'd like to work in. And yeah, he dragged me to an interview or two, and yeah, ended up getting a job for this really cool salon group. Yeah. And I was working for 3 months as a part-time stylist. Then I became senior stylist. Then I became salon manager within 6 months. Then I became area manager of our 4 salons within 12 months. Head educator.
And how old were you?
21, 22. Yeah.
Okay.
And then head educator for her salons, which was called Bossy Hair Salons. My family loved that. Head educator for her. She sponsored me to stay in Australia, which was really cool. And I just got so many opportunities. We won a scholarship with Wella. I ended up working with Wella as well as working with her. I got to fly all around Australia and do road shows with them. And I don't know at the time what I was thinking. Was this what I want to do?
And was your husband there with you?
Yes. So my husband was with me, and I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia when I was 15. So would have always been on a lot of medication for pains and things like that. When we were out in Australia, and he used to be a butcher, when we were out in Australia, I started doing acupuncture, and the heat, everything made everything go away. So I started acupuncture. And then my husband decided when we went back to Ireland. So he was doing hospitality work out there because it was only supposed to be for a year.
No, absolutely.
So we weren't taking life too serious here at all.
But you're 21.
21, having the crack.
So you're 21 and like, obviously at this point you're 21, but not only you're 21, you've been with him for 6 years.
I know.
So like even for me, like if I met a 21-year-old Irish girl, she's working in the hairdresser, I'd be like, what do you mean you've been with that guy for 6 years? You're too young. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so.
But we done so much together. Yeah, we done so much together. And then when we got back home, he decided he wanted to go to the college and he didn't think he could do it. And I was like, of course you can do it. So he came back and worked in a paint shop Monday to Friday, and he went to college Saturdays and Sundays for 5 years with very little breaks.
Yes.
So he was up in, oh my God, I can't remember it, but it's in Dublin somewhere. And he became an acupuncturist. So to this day.
And when you say the paint shop, what do you mean?
No, so I was having acupuncture for my pains for fibromyalgia, and that's what gave him the opening of, oh my God, I know what I want to do. I want to do something with healing people. And
I think we should explain what fibromyalgia is, because not a lot of people know. I know because I actually teach a lot of people Pilates that have it, because movement's really good for it.
Really good for it, and the heat. Like obviously, do you know, we're in a very damp country here in Ireland.
Yes.
And I found when I left, like I literally threw the box of tablets into the bin at the airport, because I was like, feck this, I'm not going to keep taking these. They were not making me feel too nice about myself.
Yeah.
So they were gone to the bin. Didn't tell Mommy and Daddy, and we'd spent like so long getting the right treatment and medication sorted. Anyway, got to Australia, the heat. Started walking, started running when I was in Australia. We swam a lot. Like everything is outdoor, but everything is the heat.
But how do you find out that you have fibromyalgia? Because a lot of people might think they have it, but how do you get tested to know that if you have it?
It's all on tender points of your body.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like there's a lot more tests of it nowadays. And even back then, I remember I was only like 15 and we were in a hospital in Washford, and the surgeon or the doctor consultant had said to my dad, we'd like to, you know, do tests and try different things on her.
Yeah.
Well, he was very Irish daddy at the time and marched me out there and said, you're not going to be testing anything on her. So it was just down to painkillers and everything. But yeah, it went on through, I suppose, the next 5 or 6 years before I went to Australia of trying different painkillers and, you know, looking back on it. And years ago, I suppose we all lived in kind of damp houses, or they weren't as centrally heated as what they are nowadays. I was having this discussion with one of my friends the other day who's very young and has arthritis. And she lived in a very damp house for years as well. And it has a huge impact on her life. But like, we didn't know back then that damp houses were like very, very harmful.
Yes.
But I think since I've been to Australia, different lifestyle, your exercise, what you eat, what goes into your body, the amount of water that you drink, the amount of alcohol that you drink will have a huge factor when it comes to fibromyalgia. And I do love a glass of wine. I'm not going to sit on here and say I don't. I do like a glass of wine.
I know you like a
rosé. But all in moderation. But definitely your lifestyle is huge.
But how did you feel at 15 finding out that you have that? Because it's quite...
I didn't really, to be honest with you, it was a label.
Okay.
And I think until very recently, I never really spoke about it. It was like, it's grand, it's fibromyalgia, I'll beat it, it's grand. But I do remember the consultant saying to my mum at the time, I must have been 17 or 18 at the time, and said, she'll never be a hairdresser. Like, this is going to absolutely stop her from doing everything.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of things I think in my life that I've kind of gone, oh really? Okay, I'm going to show you otherwise.
Yes.
And...
because it's permanent pain, isn't it?
Permanent pain. Yeah. But I am most of the time now pain-free from the lifestyle change. Acupuncture hugely helped me.
Yes.
And my husband used me as all of his case studies, which was great, which also made me realise, oh my God, like this acupuncture actually does help.
Yes.
For such pain. It's incredible that you don't have to be taking medication. And I don't take medication to this day.
That's amazing.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that are, like Jason said, he has a lot of clients for fibromyalgia that are crippled, that are bedbound. Like I know some girls my age that haven't been able to keep working, that have had to give up work because of the disease, you know?
Yeah.
But I think there's ways and means around it. And I think
so too. And everybody is a complete individual.
Completely.
Like 100%. But so you come back from Australia.
Yes.
You've obviously now got a load of information under your belt.
Yes.
You and your husband, like, when did you decide to get married?
Oh God, not for 15 years. We were together forever. Yeah.
Amazing.
We were going to get married in Australia. We were never going to have children, and I have 3 beautiful children. We were never having children. We were never getting married. And then we were like, I'd love to maybe start a family.
Yeah.
And then we said we'd get married in Australia and then having Irish parents, we said they'll absolutely kill us. So we went back. But we went back and like I was going to give up hairdressing. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. I want to open up a hair cash and carry.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, this is all I had in my head.
Yeah.
And when I got back to Kilkenny, then I had heard on the grapevine that there was not one, but there was two actually going to open up in Kilkenny. And I thought, right, that's a crazy idea. And I kind of didn't know really what I wanted to do. Jason had it all figured out in his head. He was coming back to do acupuncture. And then I got back and I think it was just cold feet. I was after living the life in Australia. Like I was area manager. I was on amazing wages. I had a company car, company phone. We just got to see so much of Australia, and being that young and having that much under your belt. But from a very young age, when we were living in Australia, the tax is incredible. Like we were taxed 52%. So I wanted my tax to accumulate. Didn't ever know what I was going to do. I always save money for a rainy day. I'm always good at budgeting money ever since I was young and saving. My husband hates it to this day. Okay. But like I'm one of those weird ones that has the folder and this is the ESB money and this is our phone money and la 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 la. So it was like when we came back, I realised, okay, I have to take all my tax money home with me, and went down to our local credit union, got the tax money, put it in and said, I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. And I worked in a salon for about 3 months, but I just really decided, okay, look, I know what I want to be. I don't want to just be a hairdresser. I want to be a salon owner. I want to take responsibility and teach some of the younger generation, because as a country in Ireland, like hairdressing is now one of, unfortunately, it's still a trade that's not recognised. Like we don't get to go to college and sit an exam as such now. The Irish Hairdressing Federation are fighting for it all the time, which is amazing. But it is really still left to the salon owners to teach apprentices and to get them qualified. So there's no piece of paper from like an Irish government as such to say, here you are, she's a hairdresser. So that made it difficult even for me when I was in Australia. I had to go back and sit exams when I lived in Australia to then become an educator over there. Okay. And that was fine. I was glad I'd done it. So I knew then at that stage when I got back to Ireland and I settled, because I was leaving the country. I don't know how many times when I came back. I was going to San Francisco. I was going to Vietnam. I was going everywhere except settling down. Okay. Settled down. Jason started college. And then I decided, right, I'm going to open up a hair salon. So Rustique was the first of my salons to open up. And we opened up the first one in Kilkenny, and then 3 years later we opened up the second one in Carlow. And I just loved it. Like at one stage we had over 35 staff. I just got a buzz from teaching, and I just wanted to, like, you know, anybody can open up a business. Yes. But it takes a lot of work and dedication to have a team underneath your belt and to try and, you know, 100%. It's a huge responsibility as well. Huge. You know, people always forget this. I always say, you know, having a team, I'm paying X amount of mortgages, X amount, you know, we're responsible for all of that. Did you feel that when you were training, there was something missing that you wanted to give? I think because my parents were very supportive and they kept pushing me. You know, I done a lot of my education up in Dublin as well. Like I went to David Marshall's. There was so many different, but you have to do it yourself and you have to pay for it yourself. Yeah. So my parents would be saying even like, okay, look, you don't have to go to college, but we want you to do this. So any courses that came up, Mum and Dad were like, right, you have to do it. You have to do it. You have to do it. So in that sense, I knew that there was going to be a lot of kids that wouldn't have that opportunity per se. Yeah. So I wanted to, I think I had Rustique opened up about 2 years and I went, okay, stop now, sit down, think about this. Let's make up a program that we can actually take on apprentices. Let's do up our own modules from year 1 to year 4, what I expect, what are the benchmarks, and then more importantly, asking them, where do they want to be? Do they want to be a good hairdresser? Do you want to get qualified, or do you want to be a super good hairdresser, earning really good money and ticking all the boxes of their goals and their dreams? And I believe communication is key. And that's one thing that I started very early in my own business was communication. One-to-ones are regular in our business. They're actually being done today by the manager. Yeah. So she wanted to jump in and do them today. I said, okay, go ahead and I'll catch up with the guys the next one. So we do them every 6 weeks. Yeah. But education for me is everything. Even with CurlyCo, like our curly hair brand, education. Curly clinics were born. Yes. I wanted to start doing curly clinics around the country so that we could teach people how to look after. It's super important. And talking of being born, like where do the kids come in? Oh, they're so cute.
So what year did you get married? C-Body products are powered by the most amazing marine bioactives and rejuvenated properties that deliver transformative results for all skin concerns, be that reducing wrinkles, increasing firmness in the skin, or improving your skin's texture. Ticking every box for me, it has to be said. Every element has been considered when it comes to this C-Body range of skincare and supplements. They are plant-based, cruelty-free, and, more to the point, super luxurious. My favourite 2 products, has to be said on a personal level, are the Elixir Serum. Absolutely love it. I also love their eye cream and also their fabulous Glycan Moisturiser. Thank you so much, C-Body, for supporting the BeBelle podcast.
We got married in 2010.
And then at what point did you go, because you didn't want children, at what point did you go, actually, let's have children?
Well, no, you see, actually it was the other way around. We decided I decided, right, maternal instinct kicks in. I'm like, okay, I could be a good mammy. So, and Jason obviously was the same, be a good daddy. So we decided, right, we'll get married first. And then, so we were living together. We had our first house bought and then we were living together, got married, but we told no one. We got engaged in February, we got married in December. So we here, we're getting married, and everyone was like, what? You're with each other 15 years and now you decide to do it. And we're like, yeah, we're getting married in December, and everything was organised.
Amazing.
Everything was organised. And then just, there's no messing around.
Yeah.
So lovely day, great day. And then Poppy was born a year after.
Beautiful.
So yeah, she's 12 now and Charlie is 8 and little Huey is 2.
I was going to say, because I remember when you found out you were pregnant with Huey through social media, and it was just so lovely.
He's a little cracker.
Yeah.
He was the boss.
And was he a surprise? Or
no, there was a bit of a gap. There was a bit of, we were trying for a while for the last one. The other 2, we didn't have to blink.
Okay.
And it happened. And then, so he was a bit like, oh God, is it ever going to happen or not happen? But it did, thank God.
And how do you find it? Obviously, your husband works for himself as well.
Yes.
You've got the 3 kids. Mm-hmm. You've got the salon.
Yes.
And then you decide, because you don't have enough on your plate, you're going to start a product range.
Yeah. Well, we started that. Actually, it was Sabrina, again, would definitely be big responsible for this. Was lockdown came in and she'd said to me, you have wanted to do this for so long, like use your time wisely. So we had started that like literally the very first lockdown, and I started reaching out to people, and the first person I reached out to, one of the first persons was Nikki Hine, and Nikki had put me in this direction, that direction, and it was Marissa Carter, who is now my mentor in Starting Strong. Yeah. And I sent her a message, right? Because on lockdown, I don't know if you saw any of our TikToks, but myself and my husband, we started this TikTok account.
Yes.
Funny TikToks, stupid TikToks, but whatever. It was keeping us going over that. And the kids were involved and they loved it. So every week they were like, right, Mom and Dad, what TikToks are we doing this week? So look, it was a bit of fun. And I said to you before we came on here, like I really enjoyed those because I never took any maternity leave. Like Poppy, I was back to work after 6 weeks, Charlie 10, and that's a lot. But still, it's not enough. So I kind of went, these lockdowns are great. I get to spend time with my kids, do exercises, make funny videos, have lots of picnics out in the fields and have a glass of wine every night if I wanted. This is great. So TikToks were funny. I didn't realise Marissa was watching them all, but she was, obviously. Yeah. Said, I'm going to send her a message. She's not going to answer it because she doesn't know who I am, but I'll send it to her. And I was like, hey, how are you? Have this idea. It was a big long spiel. Like literally, she's seen it straight away. And when you see the scene, and I went, oh my God. And my hands, I am still getting the feeling like the hands were sweating. And I was like, oh my God. And it's always going to come back to that imposter syndrome. Why she's seen my message so quick? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And then she messaged me and said, here's my number. Give me a call and I can have a chat. If you're free now, let's chat. So I went out to the top of the stairs. I was like, Jason! He's like, what? I was like, Marissa Carter's after seeing my message and she's after answering back and telling me to call her. And he's like, okay, that's deadly. Who is she? And I tell her that story to say she's so funny. And I was like, oh my God, how can you not know who she is? On the phone for an hour and a half on loudspeaker with her and her lovely husband. And they just gave me so much information and helpful tips.
Unbelievably generous.
And she just said to me, Denise, you have to do this. Like it's so needed. Yeah. There is a space there. Like you are such an ambassador for this, for your own product. Please, 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 come on, let's keep going with this and do it. So yeah, she gave me the first push to open that door.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you did it because it's a beautiful product.
Thank you.
You're having, it looks like you're really having great fun with it as well. Yes. And that's what business should be.
Yes.
So what's next for you?
What's next in the range or what's next?
What's next for you?
Okay, what's next for me? Well, obviously it's just a year old.
Yes.
So we've just sold a house and we're buying a house. So we're in the middle of that at the moment. And it's going to be a little doer-upper, but we're not going to touch it until next year.
Okay.
Because I'm being sensible and I thought, right, I have enough on my plate this year. And I always quieten down into summertime. And we've got just a lovely little mobile down in Rosslare. And we are really quite basic. Like I love to keep things really grounded as far as the kids are concerned. So kind of July and August, we tend to settle down. I love my time with the children. And I know a lot of mothers think she's cracked, but I do, because the other times that I'm in work, I'm so busy.
Yeah.
My mum said something to me years ago when I was feeling really guilty because I had the 2 salons and I closed down the salon in Carlow. I sold it, in order to keep going with CurlyCo because I knew something had to give. It was actually my husband said to me, you're not going to be able to do everything. So let's prioritize and see what's important. So
that's hard, isn't it?
You're very hard.
Yeah.
But it was a really good decision to make because I knew I wasn't going to be able to give 110% to 2 salons. So I thought, right, I was never going to sell Kilkenny because that's my baby and it's my headquarters and that's grand. I knew I could manage one and have my family and be able to bring out our own brand as well. So Kilkenny, Rustique in Kilkenny, which we have now, it'll be 19 years this year. Wow. So that's got a few things on the pipeline. I've got 2 amazing managers that run that salon with me and I still work in the floor 2 days a week, which I love.
Yes.
I only said last week to the girls, I love coming in here. It's like we could just get so many people. The faces, the clients are absolutely fantastic, but I still love doing hair.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and keep that up for as long as I can. CurlyCo first year, really busy. So we're going to park the doer-upper part of our lives until next year.
Oh, that's a good idea.
We're going to move in hopefully in the next month or 2 and just be back in our own little surroundings again and just find our feet. And then I can keep the rest of the time I have for CurlyCo because we've got loads of things planned. Like we've just started curly clinics around the country. I adore them. So it's basically where we go to do a launch and we spend 2 hours. The first time we were like, oh, we need to get a model, which is, I didn't even get models for the last one. No. I just said to the agency, I was like, we don't need models. Because people are coming in like, do you want me to do your hair? They're like, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, okay. And I get them to sit down and I wet it down and I talk to them about the product. And it's fun and I love it. I love interacting with people. I love helping people and showing people how to look and feel beautiful in their own bodies, skin and hair, more importantly than anything.
I mean, that's so BeBelle. It's unbelievable.
Do you know what I mean? Like, isn't it?
But it is, because it's so important.
Because it's what you're born with as well. So if you're born with a wave or a curl, learn to love it.
But we were talking before we came on, actually, and I always say I should actually gag everybody when they come in because you have these conversations, you're like, oh, we should talk about that again. But we were talking about, when you start, we were talking about like being professional.
Yes.
And often, because I like to have a bit of fun, I'd be really conscious not being professional enough because I'm having fun and everybody else is, well, I always think everybody else is a bit boring. But anyway, that's me. And you were saying for you, the professionalism was like getting your hair blow dried and looking a certain way.
Yes, I didn't feel strong and professional or like a leader. That sounds so silly, doesn't it? But I'm just going to say what I said to you. Is I never felt like that unless I had my hair blow dried straight or it was, like maybe a wavy blow dry, but basically straight. Yeah. And I didn't feel professional now. God, I couldn't tell you the last time there was a brush put to my hair. This is me. My curls and I feel nice.
I can't even remember you now with straight hair.
I know. I used to straighten the life out of it. I used to get it permanently straightened every 6 weeks. And you're only supposed to do that, by the way. Don't try this at home. If you're, clients out there and you're like, well, Denise said she used to do it every 6 weeks. You're only supposed to do it every 12 weeks. But Denise was really bold and was doing it in her own salon every 6 weeks. Literally burnt the ends of my hair. Had to cut it up into a straight bob and it was crazy.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of thyroid issues as well. So my hair falls out a lot and then it comes back. So I remember at one stage, one of the girls in salon, Lisa, said to me, it's time to cut it. It was like there was gaping holes here and I had a full thyroidectomy done in 2019. And before I had that done, because my thyroid couldn't be controlled and it was up and it was down and I was in hospital a bit. And it was just having such an impact on my hair. And it was at that stage that the hair was cut up into a bob.
Did you say thyroid?
Yeah, my thyroid, I had a full thyroid removal.
Okay.
Yeah.
My friend has had that done as well.
Yeah.
And has that affected you physically?
Yeah, there was a good bit of trauma after it.
Okay.
And that's fine. I'm working on that. That's fine because it wasn't easy sailing.
Yes.
But prior to having that done, like when I look at my life now in comparison to what it was before, I had no life for about 5 years before getting it removed. Whereas now, like, oh my God, I feel amazing.
And when you say so what was the issue with
I was
thyroid?
overactive. So most people are underactive. Now, there's still, one is still as serious as the other, so it's not to take away. Overactive is when you have really like insomnia. It's basically when the thyroid pushes, your blood is being pushed too much and everything is going faster. So when you're overactive, like you're hyper, your handshakes are incredible, the insomnia, the night sweats, sore head, hair loss, lack of appetite, but you've this crazy energy. Yeah. And you would become very thin. So you will eventually hit a wall when you're on what's called an episode, and you have what's called a thyroid crash. Okay. When you have what's called a thyroid crash, your heart rate could be beating so fast that it's nearly like you're having a heart attack. So I had about 3 of those, and then they decided, right, we need to take your thyroid out. But it was just, your way of life wasn't great.
Yeah. And obviously with that trauma, like, how did you deal with that after having it taken out?
It was fine having it taken out, but we had a couple of complications when we were taking it out. So we ended up, I myself, ended up having a clot about 10 days after it was taken out. And that was a fairly serious thing. Yes. So without getting into the gruesome details of it, but I was in hospital again for 5 days after that. And then I was home 10 days and I ended up having more clots again. So in the space of like 3 weeks, I was in Kilkenny Hospital, Waterford Hospital, Beaumont, Bon Secures. I was in like 4 different hospitals having 4 different procedures done. But it was grand. Yes. It was grand. And it was most important to get back and get your health back. Yes. And I had 2 kids at the time. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that I was going to get back and be okay for them.
No, absolutely.
So it's been topsy-turvy with my health from about 2019 and a few years later. And then even my pregnancy on Huey, because I had a full thyroid removal, but literally on week 6 or 7, I said to Jason, oh my God, I'm getting the shakes, because I couldn't cut hair before I had the operation. My hands were shaking so much because the thyroid was out of control. And I could feel all of this happening again. And I was saying to Jason, like, but I've had the full thyroid removal, but I always knew there was a chance that they could leave a small bit behind. Okay. And if that would happen, your thyroid can actually regenerate. Wow. Yes, and it can act at full as if you had a full thyroid. So being pregnant then, you couldn't have CAT scans or anything like that at all. So we went through the whole pregnancy thinking that there was some there, because I was in and out of hospital for the whole pregnancy. And that marked the last chapter then of having more kids, because it's too dangerous to have any more. Yes. And about 3 months after that then, they done the CAT scan to realise there was no thyroid there, but it's women's bodies and hormones and what it can do to you. So my body was acting like I had an overactive thyroid with everything that went with it. Wow. But now I'm good and I'm fine.
I was going to say, aren't our bodies amazing? Our bodies. Not really. They're quite annoying.
They are. But in saying that, like, what your body can do is also incredible. Oh, yeah. You know?
No, absolutely.
Scared the bejeebies out of you as well.
Yes. But I love the fact, like, I like myself, you're a busy woman, whatever. I will never stop teaching Pilates.
Yep.
I in the studio twice a week. I just bloody love it. Like, you cut hair. Yes. That's your thing. That's how you've created this fabulous world. Do you know what I mean? And like, I look at you now and I'm like you wouldn't look like you without, but my you hair, are your brand.
Oh, stop. I know. Yeah, I know my hair is my trademark now, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it was funny because it was around my thyroid just before the lockdowns, and I realised, okay, the thyroid's taken out. The hair is crap. It looks like absolute, I don't know if you ever remember Wurzel Gummidge, the scarecrow years ago. Well, that's what he looked like. And then the hair was cut up into a bob, and that's when I realised, right, no more straightening it. I need to leave it alone. I need to start putting treatments into it. And that's when the curls came back. And I was like, right, okay, I can do this. Then lockdowns happened. And then no one could straighten their hair because you couldn't go to a salon.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? So that's when we started doing so many Q&As and tutorials, and people were asking, how can I manage my hair?
Because actually, it's not that simple, is it, as just having curly. I know myself, I've got lots of friends. I have curl FOMO because I'd love curly hair. Okay. But you always want what you don't have.
Absolutely.
But I think you've given loads of people confidence to be able to create the look that they want now themselves.
Yes.
And that's all about the confidence in yourself as well.
Nearly every person, when I go into a room now, when I'm at anything, of course I've curly hair. Yeah. I'm looking at curly hair, wavy, curly, wavy. And if you have wavy hair, you're a client of CurlyCo.
Yes.
But yeah, like definitely over 80% of people have a wave or a curl in their hair. Yeah. You don't have to have that tight curls or coily hair to use CurlyCo. You can have a wave. In fact,
Yeah.
we're using CurlyCo on straight hair clients in the salon to do boho blow dries, curly blow dries, to give it body, to give it lift.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah, amazing. No, I love it. Did you think you'd be here so quickly though?
No.
Yeah, I was going to say, because
Straight up,
it's
no.
mad.
No, absolutely not. Like, I mean, we had the retailers that we have on board at the moment, like we had those planned in on our goal for year 2 and year 3.
Yeah.
And there's a really big one that we've just
Yes.
signed, and I can't say it yet, but they were not on my hit list until the end of year 2.
And how are you coping with the success, family life,
Yep.
everything, you know, how do you bring it all together?
Oh, thank God for Google Calendars.
Oh, I know.
That's all I say.
Yeah.
Thank God for Google Calendars, right? I think from Rustique, from a long time ago, like, I mean, you know, we wouldn't have enough time to go through today, but Rustique has taught me so much when it comes to the creative side of hairdressing and the business side of hairdressing, and how you can't do one without the other.
What about the family though? How do you cope?
So,
Yeah.
and it was literally trying to make it work and getting it all together. And you can't have a family and not have juggle, right? You have to juggle stuff.
Absolutely. Do you believe in that? You can have it all?
Can you have it all? But what's all?
Thank you.
What that's different for you, and it's going to be different for
One
me.
hand, it's like I always say it's like what's success? That's different to you than what it is for me.
To me, having it all right now, and I mean this, and it's not corny, it's just having healthy children and having a healthy lifestyle and being happy and being positive. You'll never have it all when it comes to business, because you'll get to a stage and then you'll want more, right? It's no different in curly hair. People say, oh my God, this is so hard. And I always say, no, it's not. Having curly hair and doing curly hair is actually not technical.
Yeah.
It just takes a bit of time and patience. And there's one thing that I can't sell you in a bottle, and that's a bottle of patience.
Yes.
So having it all is going to be so different from you than what it is for me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I believe in that.
No, I don't believe in it, actually. I think there's always a bit of dharma karma. You have to weigh things off against each other. But how, like on a weekly basis, like coordination, because there will be people going, she's running a salon, she's running this, she's got 3 kids. You know, I know your husband works himself as well, but his business is, you know, on a very successful business. So how do you do it all?
Like, I mean it when I say Google Calendar is brilliant.
It is brilliant.
I've learned so much from running the salon, and I've learned to say no to a lot of things as well. But I am so strict on my days in the salon are a Thursday and a Friday.
Yeah.
So I work CurlyCo then on a Monday, Tuesday and a Wednesday, and then Saturdays if we're doing clinics as well. I do try to take Saturdays off. I know I'm a hair salon owner, and it was actually one of my employees that said to me a long time ago, you need to start taking Saturdays off. We don't need you here. It's too busy on a Saturday and you bring chaos. And she's right, because when I work, I could have 3 or 4 clients there at one time. Now, she was given a very nice compliment, not an insult. I was like, oh.
But I think when you're good as well, your clients will accommodate
Any
you.
day. Any day. And something that we started in the salon as well. If you're really good and you want a Saturday off, show me that you can book your column up on a Monday to Friday, and you can have the Saturday off, and that's fine.
I completely agree.
But everybody is different. So I've got some mammies that work for me that their husbands are off on a Saturday, so they have to work Saturday. So I try and keep Saturdays off and Sundays. They're have to be family time.
Yes.
So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is admin and CurlyCo. Yesterday we were shooting content all day in the salon because the salon is closed.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds chaotic because we don't have a CurlyCo office yet. We have a little office at the back of the salon.
It's great.
We stick to the Google Calendar as much as what we can. My managers have access to my calendar, so they know where I am. I mean, I'm so strict on my Google Calendar. My gym days go in there as well.
Oh, but that's my
100%.
non-negotiable. My time goes on my Google Calendar as well.
Yeah.
They're all colour coordinated.
There you go. So I'm the very same. So it's colour coordinated. Yellow is family because yellow makes me happy.
Yellow's my time.
Right. So you do little things. Yeah, I don't like that's honestly, I don't think it's that hard. We all have 24 hours in a day.
Absolutely.
And you know, I don't know, everyone says to me, how do you do it all? And oh my God, you look like you're always on the go. But I'm not any more than anybody else because we all have 24 hours in a day. I'm not a machine. I'm not a robot.
Yeah.
I like to sit down and watch Netflix in the nighttime. Some people say, how do you have time for television? I don't do anything in the nighttime. And I have to wonder what people are doing in the nighttime. Like, I'm not on Instagram or social media all the time.
Yes.
I go on it, I do my work, and then I come off it again.
Yeah.
But even, like, I'm not a person to sit there scrolling all night long. Yes, I'm guilty of doing it on a break or whatever. I love reading, and I love a good program in the nighttime with my husband. They're non-negotiables. We have 9 o'clock, that's it.
Yeah.
No work. No phones if we can help it, and we watch something together. And then as work, we just try and juggle it around like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yes, we'll get the odd time where we'll get a request to do a clinic on a Thursday or a Friday. My managers are brilliant. They'll say, right, look, we'll get all your appointments to come in on that Wednesday, and then
you shift
swap it around. Yeah.
No, it is amazing. I've loved watching your story because I've kind of watched it for so many years.
Did ya?
Oh yeah.
Oh, stop! Thank you
I'm
so
complete
much.
for you.
Stop! Thank you.
And I love learning more about the behind the scenes. Okay. And we always like to finish with a question.
Oh, I see this. I heard Jennifer doing it earlier on.
So
right.
you can pick a question from there.
Right.
Just read it out loud.
This is a long one.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I'm sweating. Who was the real person to make a real impact on you? Who was it and how did it impact you?
So who made an impact on you?
There's so many. I'm going to say, this is a hard one because if I say someone and then I forget someone else, then I'm dead when I go home.
Well, they've already heard you say that, so they'll be fine.
Okay.
As you just said, there's lots of people, so you're just going to pick one of all those.
I have to thank Marissa because she opened up the doors for me in so many ways. And I think it was just so funny because the fact that I was shouting at the stairs at my husband going, Marissa's after messaging me back. And he's like, what? So she made a huge impact on me. And it was to make me believe in myself. And to this day, she is still saying, you better believe where you are because you have so much more to go. Yeah.
Do you know what? She's an absolute lady and has made an impact on a lot of women, I think.
Yes.
She
gives a lot.
Yeah. More than she'd probably ever realise. But she's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Listen, thank you so much for coming today.
It was a pleasure.
Really appreciate it. And how did you enjoy it?
My first podcast ever.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Cheers. So thank you for listening to this week's BeBelle podcast. Don't forget you can find us on social media. If you've got any questions, then please don't hesitate to DM us at BeBelle_wellness. You can also find this on our YouTube channel, which is my YouTube channel, Sean Horn. And don't forget, the more people that subscribe, the better that we can make this pod. So don't forget, like and subscribe across all channels. And thank you.